What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the series. This is the whiteboard series where I'm going to help you really master the guitar. And the whole idea is to really help those who are interested in writing songs, improvising, and just overall becoming a better musician learn via whiteboard and guitar. So in today's video, I am going to help you unlock the fretboard. Today is where this is one of those lessons that when I did this myself, it really started to open me up where I can explore ideas and get out of just my comfort zone of staying in that minor pentatonic box. So if that is what you've been looking for, this is your lesson. With that in mind, please consider giving this video a like, thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know one or two things you're grateful for, and maybe a summary of all the stuff you learned in this video, as well as any questions that you have. I'm very active in my comment section, so I'd love to help you really understand this stuff. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So what I'm going to show you today is hopefully nothing too terribly new. If you're a complete beginner and you're like Googling YouTube scales, maybe this video comes up and you're about to learn your first scale. But for most of us, I would say we know the minor pentatonic shape, okay? So what I'm going to do today is I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to show you anything crazy, but what I am going to show you is how you can take that concept of the minor pentatonic or just pentatonic, that's what we're going to use from here on out, but we're going to stretch it out so we can play it up and down the fretboard in multiple positions and really understand what we're doing so we're not just guessing. So the first thing I want to do is really break down what the pentatonic scale is. So Alright, so bear with me, I'm going to be wearing my teacher hat today, but this will hopefully open up enough doors for you. Try to get my microphone, there we go. Alright, so penta means 5. Tonic, note, scale. Alright, so the major scale has 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Alright, so if we're at 5, that means we got to cut 2. Which 2 are we going to cut? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Well, we know from last week's video that the 7th is diminished, and it sounds like a train wreck, because that's literally what it used to be used for in black and white films. So we're going to go ahead, and we're going to omit the 7th. Because remember, pentatonic, this is that smooth scale that most people play over everything, so it's smooth for a reason. The other note, I'm just going to tell you, is the 7th. Alright, now, we're going to still explore this idea. So if I were just to write this out, you know, we have C, D, E, G, A, C. All right, let's do the minor pentatonic. A, C, D, E, G, A. Same notes, same scale. So minor and major pentatonic are the same exact scale. It's all about where do we start, where do we end, what are we putting emphasis on, and what are we playing over. That really gives us context. So that right there is 2 scales out of 1, but that's not it. We're going to get more out of this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Now, if you studied any music theory, you may have heard of the concept called the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths. We're going to use that concept to unlock the fretboard. So first thing we need to know is what is the 4th and what is the 5th, and how can we use that without looking at that giant circle chart. All right, so I'm going to make it really easy. If you want to go on the circle of fourths, you're just going to follow the 4th. So we have F major. If you want to follow the circle of fifths, you grab the 5th, which in this case is G major. So if we start at C, C is where I recommend you start in the circle of fourths and fifths. And we're not going to do the entire circle of fourths of the fifths. That would be a whole lesson in its own. We're just going to grab the meat and potatoes, what we need. So if C has 0 sharps, 0 flats, anytime we go to the 4th or the 5th, we're going to be adding a sharp or a flat. So on the 4th, we add flats. On the 5th, we add sharps. Okay, so trust me here. We're going to study scale composition later on so we can learn how to do any scale without having to study charts, and it just comes from understanding instead. But for the time being, I'm going to give you F major and I'm going to give you G major. So F major check this out. The 1, 2, 3, 4th note gets a flat. Amazing, right? Crazy. Groundbreaking stuff. The G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. The 7th, oh, and then we go back to G. The 7th is always getting a sharp, and you'll always add a sharp this way. So hopefully that right there instantly explains how you can go about creating all your different scales. But the thing we really need to differentiate is, how does this differ from C major? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so if we look at each, we lower the 7th, which in some degrees, if you lower the 7th, if you take a diminished, this is just for my nerds on here. If you have a diminished chord, lower the root, and now you have a major 7th. Kind of crazy, right? So in many cases, B flat is going to sound better than B natural in the key of C major, but let's not get too carried away with details. But the difference is B flat and F sharp. These are the two things we need to keep in mind. Now remember, in the pentatonic scale, we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. Okay, so G, A, B, D, E, G. Well, that's really all the notes of the C major scale. So now we know G major and E minor pentatonic. E minor is the 6th, the relative minor. That'll work. Okay, so now let's take a look at F. F has F, G, A, C, D, F. With the exception of the F, F major works. So we can either omit the F, or we can use it in a spicy context, because it really depends on what we're playing. Am I playing D minor? Am I playing an F major in this chord progression? Like a 1, 4, 5 in C has an F major, right? So anyways, these are two pentatonics that we can use to unlock the fretboard. Now I'm going to show you how this actually unlocks the fretboard and kind of your path to fretboard fluency. So let me grab my guitar and I'll be right back. So we're going to apply that, and I'm going to show you how this all connects and unlocks. Hopefully you got a good shot of my fretboard. If you want the tabs for this, they're all listed on my Patreon, so you can go check that out in the link below, and you can snag the tabs. It's like $5 a month. There's a lot of good stuff over there. I think I have over like 100 different articles published, so there's a lot of stuff for you to dig into. I also teach one-on-one, so if you're studying this and you're like, man, this is really interesting, but I really want that personalized touch to really help understand this stuff, reach out to me on Instagram, either at Guitar Artistry Program, which is my company, or Damien Andy. All right, so let's map this out onto the fretboard. So we're going to start at the 0 position, or open position. If you hear position or positional playing, whichever fret your pointer finger is lined up, that's that position. So this is 3rd position. A minor is technically A minor pentatonic in the 5th position. You can tell I've been playing a lot of Lydian. My F sharp comes out a lot. All right, so if we start off with what we know, A minor pentatonic. With that in mind, we can also play C major pentatonic in the 5th position. Oh, I should end here. The difference between C and A is what notes we start on and what we're putting emphasis on. So that's the 5th position unlocked. Okay, well, how do we get there? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off here in G. Now the thing we got to remember is that B natural doesn't sound good. So what I'm talking about is if we were to do just straight E minor pentatonic, and it might be easier if you see it at the 12th fret, where that's just an octave down. That's that, you'll see Stevie Ray Vaughan do that. You know, he does that all the time, that position. But anyways, that's besides the point. The things that we need to really rid ourselves of are the B's here. B's are in the trap. We need to avoid them. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute them for a C, so we stay true to C major pentatonic. So here we go. E, G. So that right there is the open position up to the 3rd position. Now in the 3rd position, I encourage you from last week, learn C major. And then learn that pentatonic shape here, which you can absolutely do now based on this lesson. Then when we get to the 5th position, we have the A minor. Now, this might be a new position for some of you guys, but at the 8th position, we can use C major pentatonic, which looks like this. You also have C major. If you watch Rock Discipline by John Petrucci, you know this exercise. Now we're going to get into the new material. At the 10th fret, we have that D minor pentatonic / F major pentatonic we can use. So the way that you're going to find your relative natural minors is put your pinky on where F is. We can't do it down here because we don't have any frets below. But remember, anything past the 12th fret is just a repeat because it's an octave. So we're going to take the F, and if we just have our pointer fingers where each finger, or take our fingers and each finger gets its own fret, wherever the pointer finger lies, that's our relative minor. So here it's D. So D minor. Literally the same as this. We just slide it up. That works. Now just keep in mind, we have that E here, or that F, but what we could do is lower it to an E, and that'll work. You know, that works. So that right there is the fretboard unlocked, because everything repeats. Once we get up here, we can just go. Now, let me give you some tips, because if you just run this up and down, it's not really going to sound as great as you want. But what I recommend you do is just work your way up the fretboard, getting comfortable with those positions. Once you're comfortable and understand what I'm talking about in this video, now here is how you make yourself sound more experienced, which you may or may not be. Omit the first 2 strings. Don't play it down low. If you're soloing, you're playing down low, you're competing with the kick drum, the toms, and the bass guitar. As a guitar, we focus really on the mid-range and on the highs. That's where we kind of shine in a band mix. So keeping that in mind, I'm kind of giving you, like, if you watch my live streams, this is kind of my secrets, but if you understand the pentatonic in those shapes, learning how to map it together and going in between them without, like, for example, if all you do is you stay here, and then you're like, oh, I'm moving up. Nothing wrong with that, but if we really want fluency, then we need to work on being able to transition string by string and doing single line melodies. Because if you watch me play live and you see, you might think I know more than what I do, and that's only because I fooled you. I'm playing single line melodies on one string, and I'm changing between positions. Now, I know my strings memorized, but I still think positionally like that because that's how I learned. So I'm still thinking like, you know, it's still pentatonic. It's still pentatonic. And there's nothing wrong with pentatonic. Don't let anybody make you feel like that scale is any more or less than what it is. It's a great melody generator because it has most of the chordal tones that sound good in the key, with the exception of, like, you just gotta be careful of the fourth. The fourth, we can do a whole video on just the fourth in any given key, but just trust me for the time being. Just be careful with the F. I like to use that F in conjunction with the third. So going like, ba-da-da, because those half step intervals are just always really interesting in any key, any mode. Like, you're always looking for that half step. But you don't want to, like, just lay on it unless if you're doing, like, a C sus chord, you know, something like. But anyways, that's way beyond the point. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. And just have fun. Be okay with playing quote-unquote wrong notes, because that's how you learn. So whenever you're practicing this, just show yourself some grace. Maybe throw on an A minor backing track or a C major backing track and explore that, especially if it's a 1-4-5 blues progression. That'll really help you out a ton with getting a lot more mileage out of what you know. The other thing I'm going to just be perfectly honest with is, like, look, I've got a music degree, okay? What does that mean? That means I've studied a ton of theory, a ton of compositions, and I've composed a ton of music. And the pentatonic scale, anything I want that's like quote unquote spicy is like typically a half step away from some pentatonic land. So don't be that guitar player that thinks that the pentatonic is like the beginner scale and that's it. I learn it, then I go learn whatever else. I prefer being that guitar player that has studied one scale extensively and then moved on into another one. So really take your time. Don't rush through this. Make sure you've got fluency where it doesn't sound like I'm connecting thoughts. It should sound like one stream of consciousness. Like, imagine if I taught and talked like this. That's not nearly as good as if I said, imagine if I taught like this. That second part sounds a lot more fluid and a lot more natural. That's how your soloing should be. Learning how to just speak naturally and fluently. That sounds so much better than, you know? So get fluent. All right, well, that's going to wrap up today's whiteboard session. Hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully that unlocks a ton for you. Just all I ask is that if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back. I'm pretty active in the comment section, and the community as a whole we're building here has just been freaking awesome. So thank you guys so much. If you're interested in studying theory with me on a one-on-one basis, especially for composition, which is what I love, consider reaching out to me at either the Guitar Artistry program on Instagram or Damien Andy or wherever you are on social media. I'm pretty much there as Damien Andy. And with that, I just want to say thank you guys so much. My specialty is theory, guitar, composition, producing, and social media marketing. So if you're an individual artist, you're trying to learn one of those 5 things and you want help, reach out to me. I'd love to help you out. But with that, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm grateful that you're here, and I just can't wait to hear how this helped you out. And I'll see you in the next video.